welcome. My name is Joy Iromuanya, and I'm the host today of Travel with Joy. I'm a flight attendant and a Navy reservist, and I travel around the world. So thank you, and Travel with Joy. So today's guest is Dan Gross, and when I talked about being a Navy reservist, every year we have little talks about mental health, and we have like computer-based trainings. And 2 years ago, Dan came and spoke to our reserve center, and he just gave such a powerful speech. And in addition to the speech, he also gave us these cards. And I actually kept this card, but it basically says, "You are worth it." And it has his name and his number. And one of the things he told us was that if we ever needed him, that we could call him. So I just knew that with him being a high-ranking person in the military, that he just has like a wealth of knowledge. And I know he's well-traveled. And I really just wanted to get to know him better. So welcome to Travel with Joy.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. So let's just start from the beginning because I really want to get to know you. So tell me, where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Born and raised in Lincoln.
Okay. Now, when you say Lincoln, like where in Lincoln?
The Russian Bottoms.
Okay.
So west of the original courthouse, down in between the railroad tracks.
Okay, so like downtown kind of?
Yeah, downtown, just west of downtown.
Okay. So is that like Everett neighborhood?
I went to Everett.
Okay.
I went to Everett as a junior high.
Oh, wow.
I went to McPhee as a grade school.
Yeah.
So I lived in the Park district, but my parents, we were in the middle of moving. Mm-hmm. So they decided that they were going to start me out in McPhee.
Okay.
So I started out there and just stayed there. It was a mile or so from the house, so they just dropped me off every day.
Okay, and then where did you go to high school?
Went to Lincoln High.
Oh, you're a Link. Okay.
I'm a Link.
I'm a Rocket.
I'm sorry.
Oh, we're going to start early.
So we're colorblind, okay.
And then how would you say your childhood was like?
Childhood. Grew up, my parents actually towed cars.
Oh.
So had their own business.
Okay.
Went from towing cars to a bunch of other stuff over the years. Small business owners, so you get to figure out when things are tight. Things are tight. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was a good childhood. They also had plenty of horses and sheep and goats and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
so
wow.
Grew up with livestock as well.
Siblings?
I am the only child.
No way.
Took my parents like 5 years to figure out how to have me, and then they were done.
Wow, that's so awesome. Now, when you were a child, what did you want to be?
I would say probably in around junior high, I decided that I wanted to be a machinist.
Okay. Now, what is a machinist? Because some of us don't really know.
So a machinist is you make parts or pieces out of raw steel.
Okay.
Or aluminum or anything like that. So, whether you're doing engine work, whether you're doing small little pieces, building stuff like that.
Okay, that's so cool. Now, what were some of your hobbies when you were a kid?
Hobbies as a child. We worked with the animals,
Okay.
that type of stuff. As I got older, woodworking, and that kind of started out as a child, or younger anyway, junior high and stuff like that. Before that, I actually did wood burning.
Oh, cool.
So I had a guy that was a friend of my dad's that did some wood burning, showed me how to do it. And I would actually take pictures, and this is before your time, carbon paper.
Okay.
I'm
not that old.
Would
I'm a
actually
grown-ass
trace out.
woman.
Yeah, anyway. So would actually trace out pictures and then burn them.
Oh, interesting.
And burn them on a piece of pine.
Okay.
We had this, just to give you an idea, we had a guy that was traveling from New York to California in a covered wagon and had horses.
Okay.
And it was a rubber-tired wagon. And so we happened to run across him in Lincoln as he was going through. So he stopped out at our place for a few days and stuff. And I actually took and made a sign for him California or Bust.
Oh, okay.
And he put it on the back of the wagon, took it all the way to California, was on the Letterman show, and then ended up going back. And that was the only thing that he took back with him when he originally went back.
Wow.
Was that sign. Then him and another guy went back, got the horses, and went back to New York.
That's so cool. Now, when you were a kid, I know you said money was kind of tight. Did you guys do like family vacations? Did you guys do road trips? Did you do anything like that?
No. With the horses and stuff, you always had to be around. The vacation I do remember that we did take, I've got pictures of it actually. We went to Shadron State Park.
Oh.
And we'd been at Nebraska Land Days.
Okay.
And a guy that worked for my dad had actually brought riding horses out to us. We had ponies and riding horses. So brought the riding horses out. He took the ponies back to Lincoln because we'd been in the parade out there. And we went up to Shadron, and we showed up at the ranger station. And the ranger was like, "What are you doing here and with your horses?" We're like, "Oh, well, we're planning on going riding on the trails." He said, "You can't because they're trail horses and your horses, so we don't know how they're going to interact." So we ended up going out into this burn section that had burned a couple years before, and ended up getting lost. Made our way back. Came in the same way that we had come in with the truck and trailer with the ranger station. And he asked why we were coming from that direction. We're like, "Oh, well, we kind of didn't know where we were at." And he goes, "Didn't I tell you not to get lost?" Because it was a 10,000 acre spot that had burned and they had no idea where we'd be.
Wow.
But we made it back. And really, that was the biggest vacation. Other than that, it would be, take off, go up to our grandparents for the weekend and come back. So that was,
yeah. Now, what inspired you to join the Navy?
my Navy story.
Yes.
This may take just a little bit.
Okay, take your time.
So recruiters have been getting a hold of me in high school. I would go out and talk to the Navy recruiters and want absolutely nothing to do with it. But I would go talk to them. So young lady that I knew had joined and wanted me to be a person that had joined underneath of her so she'd get credit for me.
Okay.
So that she could increase in rank as she went to boot camp. And we had gone to a party. We were younger and not the brightest. And there was a little bit of drinking involved. And after that whole situation, I don't know how deep you want me to go into that one, but after that situation, Monday, I ended up joining the Navy.
So, like, you got in trouble?
Her BAC was 0.34 when we took her to the hospital.
Oh, yikes.
And 0.4 is clinically dead.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a little bit of alcohol poisoning there. And it wasn't that I wanted to get away or I was scared of getting in trouble. I didn't, because that's what we did. We drank.
Yep.
You worked all week, you drank all weekend, you went back and you worked. So I didn't want to get away from, I wasn't scared of getting in trouble, but I didn't want that to happen and somebody get hurt. Somebody end up actually dying because we were just young, dumb kids. And so I joined the Navy.
Wow, that's so interesting. I've never heard that joining the Navy, that type of joining the Navy story. Now, when you joined, what was your job?
I started out as an interior communication electrician.
Okay.
So before I joined the Navy, I had actually worked for an electrician for a couple years and did my apprenticeship. So I had 2 out of the 3 years of my apprenticeship done. Joined the Navy.
How old were you when you joined?
19.
Okay.
So I'd been out of high school for about a year. Joined the Navy. Went to Orlando for boot camp.
Okay.
Went to San Diego for my A school.
How long was your A school?
A school was 3 months, I think.
Okay.
3 or 4 months, something like that. Then met my ship.
Wow.
Which was a whole fiasco.
So let's backtrack. Now, I did basic training at Great Lakes or Great Mistakes right outside of Chicago. But what was it like going from Lincoln to Orlando and just that first time being away from home?
it was interesting. I mean, I had decided, so when I actually joined and went through MEPS, I told the guy I wanted a 4-year contract and I wanted to be an electrician. And he comes back and he goes, well, you can be a 2-year apprentice or just a striker, or you can actually do 6 years as an electronics technician. I was like, I want 4 years and I want to be an electrician. So I went to lunch, came back, and he tells me, well, we've got this thing. Always what you want to hear at MEPS. And it was, I could be an interior communication electrician, which worked on phone lines, compasses, that type of stuff, lower voltage stuff. But I'd be a TAR, which is, they've come back to TARs. It was TAR, then it was FTS.
Can you explain to my people what FTS and TAR are?
A TAR is a training administrative reserve. It is active duty, but you are in the Reserve Navy. So you're a reservist, but you're not a reservist because you're full-time.
Yes.
FTS, which they changed it to at one point, is full-time support. Same difference. You belong to the reserve side of the Navy. You get paid from the reserve side of the Navy, but it's active duty pay.
Yes.
And you're 24/7, 365.
And for some people, it's nice because you're home every night.
You're not.
Oh, you're not? See, I'm used to the TAR and FTS that work at the Reserve Center.
Yes.
Ah.
So this was a TAR assigned to a ship.
Okay.
So, you're, and the guy at MEPS was like, you're only going to go out on the weekends. It'll be great. You only have to go underway with the reservists.
Wow.
Which was a complete lie.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, how would that even work?
Yeah, we spent more time underway than any active duty ship in the harbor.
Wow. Now tell me about your ship, because I've been a reservist my whole career. So I know I'm so embarrassed. I've never been on a ship, but I mean, I've like toured a ship, but I've never, and sometimes people tell me I'm not a real sailor, but can you explain to me just like what it was like to, because even like when people talk about, going on Liberty and port calls, and I don't really know what any of that means.
Okay. My first ship was a USS Reclaimer, ARS 42, which is an auxiliary ship, but it was a salvage ship. So it was 214 feet long and 45 feet wide at the beam.
Okay.
So at the widest point, it was 45 feet wide. The ship had actually been commissioned in 1945.
Oh, wow.
And so I believe it was 45. Had actually been a test platform at the Bikini Island nuclear testing back in the day. And actually the forward mast was still hot.
Wow.
So they would come out and do radiation tests on it yearly. I found that out as I was actually up on the mast working one day. And one of the chiefs came out and was like, hey, is it warm up there? And my first duty station was Hawaii.
Wow.
So it was like, yeah, it's warm up here. And he's like, no, the radiation. So then I found out that it had actually been at the nuclear testing.
Yikes. So how was Hawaii?
Hawaii was great the first time. So yeah, my mom actually had a cousin that lived out there. So it wasn't that hard being away because, I did have some family. And then, in the Navy, and you being a reservist, have you deployed before?
Never.
Okay. So you're a complete reservist.
I am. Okay.
So in those situations, your family becomes who you're around. And we had roughly 100 people on that boat. And they were, whether you liked them or not, they were family. So your hard days, your good days, it didn't matter. They were there, and if something happened, you were there for them. You may not like them, but you were there for them. And then you get back to not liking them after whatever was taken care of was done.
For sure. No. And I feel like I can still relate to that as a reservist, because you do get really close. Even if you're just with people for like a month, you're working together, you're living together. It's like, it's crazy.
Yep.
Now, how much time were you active duty?
I did 8 years, 4 months, and 10 days on active duty.
Oh, wow. And then you became, a reservist. How long altogether were you in the Navy?
32 years.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, I know you traveled a lot of places during your Navy career. What were some of your favorite places?
favorite places, my favorite trip was my Unitas, which a Unitas is a trip, a show of the flag around South America.
Okay.
So in 6 months, we hit 22 ports
Wow.
in South America.
Now, when you hit the ports, like how often, like how long are you in that particular place?
It depends. That was, like I said, a show of the flag, and we were out working with South American navies.
Okay.
So we would be in for 2, 3, 4 days, and we'd be out for a week,
Okay.
which is not typical. You go on a Westpac or you go on a med cruise, you're underway for a long time, and then you
Yeah.
get a few days in, and then you're back out. But that was, it was a party cruise,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went all around South America, Straits of Magellan, ended up in a little bit of trouble down in Argentina, but you know, it's all good.
No, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. Now, okay, now can you tell me about a unique experience that you had just in the Navy while you were traveling, or even just like a unique story of something cool that you experienced while you were traveling?
So I've got a couple here. The second one will be short, but the first one was actually when I met my first ship, because I was supposed to meet them in San Diego.
Okay.
So I came home on leave after A school. I flew to San Diego, checked in, and they said, your ship left yesterday. And I go, I missed ship's movement. They're like, no, they left early. So I hung around San Diego for a week and a half, something like that, in the transient barracks, but I was an electrician per se. So instead of picking up trash, they had me working with an electrician on base. And they gave me and another individual tickets to meet our ship in Panama.
Okay.
Had never been out the continental U.S. I mean, I'd been to Tijuana, being in
Yeah, of
A school in
course.
San Diego, but other than that, had never been anywhere. So spoke no Spanish. Was not introduced to the other person that was going to be going to the same ship that I was going to. They just handed us tickets and said, here. Didn't tell us what the base was, nothing.
Wow.
So we flew to Panama, got there, picked up the phone. There was absolutely nobody we could talk to because we didn't speak Spanish. And the other guy was actually a Hawaiian. So he was actually a local guy from Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
And so he had never been really anywhere either. So there was an army bus down there. We ended up catching a ride with another military couple that was picking somebody up. But the army bus said, oh, yeah, we can give you a ride. Didn't know what base we were going to. Ended up getting to the base. Had to wait for a week and a half until the ship actually showed up. So that was a very unique experience of, you know, first time out of the country, had no idea what we were doing, nobody to talk to.
That's so crazy.
It was a very interesting trip.
And this was before Uber and like,
Yes.
you couldn't text somebody or
No, we didn't have cell phones.
yeah.
And we didn't have anybody to contact. And the ship, actually, when we got to the base and checked in, they said, well, you know, who are you here to meet? We're like, oh, we're here to meet the reclaimer. And they looked, and it was a week and a half out. So they had nothing for us to do. So we just kind of hung out on base. They gave us a job.
Yeah.
But the first weekend, we were able to stay at the barracks or the Navy Lodge on base.
Okay.
But on Monday, all the reservists were coming down for their 2 weeks. So we got kicked out of the Navy Lodge
Oh, wow.
and had no money. So they sent us out in town to a hotel where some of the other reservists were staying. And that was where we stayed for a week and a half, is in a hotel out in Panama.
Wow, that's so crazy. Now, how would you say just being in the Navy and experiencing like different places, different cultures, how it changed like your worldview?
Growing up, even though I was in Lincoln, there was a lot of different groups with where I grew up. had a bunch of different people from a bunch of different places because we were close to the university. So we had exchange students and stuff, or exchange families that were working at the university or going to school there. But actually going out to a group in the Navy and how that helped with my worldviews was everybody is the same. So no matter where you're from, most people are the same. You have the extreme, which everybody knows we have extremes on all sides. But when you get right down to it, everybody really is pretty much the same. They have the same basic thoughts and views. And so it doesn't matter if you're, politically, if you're on the same page or you're not, you want the best for where you're at. And that's what's deep in your heart. So, a lot of doing different things is literally just looking out for what you think is right. And so, yeah, when it gets down to it, it's literally everybody has the same typical mindset. It's just how they view that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that because I think even with me, traveling so much as a flight attendant, like 99% of people want like to be respected, to be loved, to be cared for,
Absolutely.
to have, like the basic, like when you think of like, what is that, Maslow's hierarchy of,
Yep.
it's just like, I feel like people are kind of simple when you dumb it down.
Well, and when I've gone different places, even out in Hawaii, you go to the different islands, and we would go on the ship, and we would go and I would always look for somewhere local to go, vice a tourist trap. So, hey, we showed up at a Subway in Maui, and I was like, hey, where's a local place to go to a bar? And they're like, oh, just go down here to, on the beach. And I'm like, no. Where would you go?
Yeah.
And I ended up in this industrial complex, like 3 or 4 miles away that I walked to. And I walked in and I was the only non-local person there. And, I walked in and they're like, hey, what are you doing here? And I said, oh, I'm with the ship down here at the port. And it was just, they just opened their arms and we sat there and talked and about all kinds of different stuff. So, yeah, everybody has the same needs to take care of themselves. And mostly people are friendly. But like you said, it's all respect.
No, I totally agree. Now, I really want to get into also, like when you came and you spoke to our reserve center, you spoke about, suicide prevention and you kind of like spoke about some of your struggles and like mental health. So I want to just like whatever you feel comfortable sharing, if you can kind of just like speak to some of that.
My mental health. I had an incident when I was in junior high that has affected me to this day. In high school, I found out what had happened with the person and actually went back to the junior high and talked about what had happened to me. I didn't give specific details, but was able to open up. And as I was doing that in between classes, I would talk to the teacher and it's like, okay, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, and this person in this class, you need to watch. And the funny part was I identified everybody that the teacher had already identified, but didn't know what the question was, what to ask. As I got farther along in life, lost some people, had some other issues. In fact, yesterday is a anniversary for me of losing somebody. And so it's just been, there's been good days and bad days. But being able to talk to people about it and bring it out to them as it's real Because as we were talking earlier, for the suicide prevention stuff at the Reserve Center, you listen to a PowerPoint slide or you watch it. And that's good, but there's no connection there. So when you can open that connection up and make it personal, that will get people's attention. And more of almost like a shock factor, because as you said, I retired as a fairly senior officer, started out enlisted, retired as a fairly senior officer, been through a lot of different ranks over my years. And your senior people may have issues, but they don't want to talk about it because, it's just me. The junior people have the same issues and they don't want to talk about it because, it's just me.
Yep.
It's the same thing no matter where you're at in the food chain. But if a senior person will come out and admit that they have an issue, that they've had a problem, they've, gone through whatever, it makes the junior people actually say, you know what, if that person can say it, I can say it. And if they can be honest and say, hey, yeah, I've had a problem, it's so much easier for others to actually admit that they've got a problem and seek help.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think one of the really cool things is like after you spoke to us, like we went back to our respective units and, we broke out and we were having a lot of conversations. And there were a lot of people that were saying, like I have struggled, like I have had this issue. And we've never kind of opened up like that before. And it's so interesting because I've been drilling at the same reserve center for the past 15 years, and you see the same people every weekend. So you become so close to them, but then you don't see them elsewhere.
Yes. And it's the good and bad about reservists. Active duty, you're there with the people 24/7. Reservist, I can fake being okay for a weekend.
So true.
I can fake being okay for 2 weeks on an annual training because I'm not with you 24 hours a day on those 2 weeks. So 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. I can fake being okay.
Yep.
But, active duty, and you can even fake being okay on active duty because you're not with that person all the time. So you still have that ability to break away, even though you may be, whether you're in a tent, whether you're in a foxhole, whether you're whatever, there's different groups that know each other better, but still, even those groups that know each other very well can still hold things away and hide things away.
Very true. Very true. And I think, like, for me, another reason your story like really resonated with me is because during COVID, I had a really difficult time because, when you do like your physical fitness tests, when they always have to like check your blood pressure and check different things, they checked mine and it was like through the roof. And they were like, we got to get you somewhere because you might have an aneurysm. And they're like, your blood pressure is like crazy right now. So, I went to, the doctor. I didn't even want to go to the doctor, but they told me I couldn't do the physical fitness test unless I did. And then I go to the doctor and she's like, oh, we'll put you on this medication. And then the medication wasn't working. So then they're like, something's wrong with your heart. So I'm like, huh? So then they have me like go to this other doctor and he's like, oh, you're in heart failure. And I'm like, what? And then long story short, we end up finding out that I have like this heart condition. And I might have had this heart condition like all my life. And then you remember during COVID, it was like, like I took 9 months off from my airline. I was like scared to leave my apartment. I was just like, I thought if I got COVID, I would just, and then there's only so many, shows you can watch on Netflix. And then after that, you're like, and I was so used to traveling, being on the go, And then I just started getting like really depressed. And I just, my shipmates, we text, we're like friends and stuff. But I also, I don't know, I was kind of embarrassed to say, that I was like going through this thing. And then I also just, I don't know, I just didn't know if like people would care because we're close, but we're not close.
Exactly.
It's like a weird feeling. But even after you spoke, like everybody started like talking. And one of the things that I thought was like really cool is we kind of started talking about like kind of like our toolbox and like the coping skills that we have that kind of help us when we're going through things. And one of the things that I've realized that is in my toolbox is just like traveling and how it's just like really helped my mental health. And it's just really helped me kind of, cause I mean, I don't want to say like mental health can be kind of selfish, but I think traveling and getting out of like my way and go forcing myself to like go to new places
Yes.
has really helped me just kind of be happy again and like literally travel with joy and like finding the joy in life.
And you need to be honest. That's the huge part. So I had taken over as a officer in charge of a unit down in Kansas City. And we're actually at Whiteman Air Force Base. And my first weekend there was a gun shoot. And I got this, the guys told me, oh, well, this person's not going to go to the range. I kind of asked why. And, oh, well, the commanding officer said no. Okay. So I go over and I talk to the commanding officer, and she was like, well, this person just got some issues. So I come walking back from her office into mine, and this guy is standing there. And I looked at him, and I recognized him because he actually drilled with me in Lincoln. So I knew him years before, but I'd been deployed. By that time, I'd been deployed twice. And so as I saw him, and like I said, I hadn't seen him in probably 4 years, 3 to 4 years. And he's like, he looked at me and he goes, are you in charge here? And I was like, well, yeah. Well, then I looked at his name tape and realized that's who they were talking about. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. And we went back into my office, and he ended up breaking down 3 different times about things had gone on in his past or since his deployments. And I asked him, I said, are you going to the VA? Are you getting help? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going. I looked at him, I said, are you telling him the truth? Well, and, after we had that conversation of, look, you got to tell them the truth before they can help. And he changed and started telling them the truth, got on some medication. He reached out to me. It's been about 2 or 3 years ago. I'd been posting stuff on Facebook about, hey, if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. You're my brother, you're my sister, always here for you. And he reached out to me one night about midnight, and we were chatting back and forth. He had just, the day before, he had been to the VA to see his therapist and gotten some medication, but it was an hour appointment, and he really needed more time because he hadn't been in to see him for a while because of COVID and stuff like that. And so he reached out to me, and then his phone went dead, and I lost him. And the next morning, I actually had an appointment with my counselor, and we reached out to some people to find out where he was at because I didn't have a phone number for him. He just reached out to me on Messenger and did some tracking down that morning and was able to get a hold of his daughter to reach out to him. And his phone had gone dead, so he got a hold of me like a day later and was like, hey, my phone just went dead. It's okay. Okay. But, literally because of that, he's in a much better place because somebody was there.
Now, how are you able to be so vulnerable and just like, talk to people about your mental health and not being worried about like stigma or anything like that?
When I took my oath, especially as an officer, when I went to the dark side,
Yeah.
when I did that, every individual that wears a uniform is my responsibility. I have done things that my senior officers don't like sometimes, but I've been upfront and straightforward with them. And my people come first. So if I get blackballed for something, if I'm there for my people, like anybody else, that's okay. I'll deal with my consequences because I put my people ahead of me.
Now, when you were traveling, just with the military or just like on your own, did you ever have certain trips where you felt like it helped your mental health? And like when I talk about that like toolkit, did you have any experiences or any travels that you felt were like restorative or helped?
I did. So I went through a really dark place in January and February of 21, to a place that I shouldn't be here today because of. And I had started talking to a friend of mine or somebody that I knew in high school. I'd started talking to them in January. And they live about 3 hours away, 3.5, 4 hours away, something like that. And after I was at that point, just traveling the 3.5, 4 hours it was to go see them, it was so nice because I was in a box. I was at home and I was in a box, and I worked, and I got done at work, and I went home, and I was single, going through a divorce, and everything was just closing in around me. So even just being able to get in a vehicle and drive 3.5 hours, and not be around where everything was so depressing to me.
Yes.
Whether it's 10 minutes down the road, whether it's an hour, whether it's you get on a plane and you fly across the country and you go see somebody, find something somewhere that just getting away from where you're at that point in time helps tremendously.
I agree. I think that's so life-changing. I really think that it's now. What would you say to somebody who is like there's somebody that's struggling with their mental health, but you don't know what to say to them? Like, what would you think to say to help somebody, like, if there's somebody that's in their life that they're struggling with their mental health and they want to be there for them, but they just don't know how?
Just talk to them. Talk to them and ask them if they're okay.
So like explicitly ask them, are you okay?
Yeah. What's going on? If you notice that something is different, you see this person on a regular basis and something has just changed, but they're being quiet about it. Hey, is everything okay? Everything all right? You doing all right? Reassuring somebody that somebody is there for them is huge. Because like you said before, you didn't know if you could say anything to somebody and how their reaction would be. But just telling somebody, hey, I'm here. If you need somebody to talk to, just call. Hey, do you want to go out and grab lunch? Do you want to go do whatever, just to break up their routine? Because that's a lot of it. And I'm not saying that's all of it for mental health, but you get into a place where you're in your routine and your routine isn't going anywhere because it's in a bad place and it's just going worse and you just can't get out of that spiral. So yeah, if you see somebody, if you know somebody that, things just aren't quite right. Hey, are you okay? What's going on? Is there anything I can do? So just that reassurance that you're there, and let them know you're there night or day. My phone, very rarely, I shut it off for this interview, but my phone typically is never shut off 24/7. And I've had people that I know, I've had people that I don't know that got my number from somebody else and said, hey, this is what's going on in my life. Okay, let's talk about it.
That's amazing. Now, do you have any upcoming trips, or do you have any like travel goals or a bucket list?
I want to go see a bunch of individuals I've served with all over.
Yeah.
I came across a group that gets together from my first ship. And the funny part is those guys, I was on that ship from 1992 to 1994 with them. And I had one of them that was driving truck. And just, running into him, he actually happened to be in Lincoln one year, and we sat down for breakfast.
Yeah.
And so those individuals I've spent time with, just getting back to see them and talk to them and see how their life's going and stuff, and the travel that'll come with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's a state in the country that I could go to and not know somebody.
For sure. After 34 years.
I went to Hawaii, And gal I was seeing, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to go out here. We're going to stay with these people for a couple days. Happened to be a chief that I had on my first ship as an officer that had retired, and I'd been out to his retirement. And then somebody else I'd reached out to and said I was coming out. He's like, well, do you have a rental car? And I'm like, no. I said, well, I've got this one that I picked up on one of these apps. And he goes, oh, no, just let me know when you're coming. He said, you can have mine for half of that price, and I'll meet you at the airport. And that guy I'd spent 6 to 9 months with in between 2009 2010. And the gal was like, when's the last time you talked to these people? I'm like, well, the one that we're using his car, last time I talked to him was when we came back from 2010.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that brotherhood and sisterhood is there regardless.
It's so real. It really is. It really is. Now, you are starting a podcast.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. So tell
we're getting there.
Tell my audience about that.
So the name of that podcast will be Embracing the Suck, or Still Embracing the Suck. Sorry about that. Over the last 20 plus years, 25 years of military service, the biggest thing is, the biggest phrase that you hear, especially on deployment, is embrace the suck. Mm-hmm. So you just, you embrace whatever's there. And still embracing the suck is the mental side of it, the reintegration back to society. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of us have problems, is the reintegration back to society, to a society that we may not have ever been part of. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm going with that. More military related, veteran related, traumas, how to deal with the different traumas, how to get different help, where to go for different help, what has helped for me or for somebody else that may help other people. I've actually, listening to other podcasts has helped me realize that those that were the tip of the spear, so your tier 1 operators, your tier 2 operators, go through the same thing that the guys that were back in the base in the green zone, or back in the rear. We all go through the same thing. It may not be because of the same thing, but we all go through the same traumas. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for coming to talk to us today. And I appreciate you so much. So thank you. And I'll
Absolutely.
link all of your socials and everything on this podcast. So thank you. And stay tuned for the next episode with Travel with Joy. Thank you.